my name is Brittany Duke, and I will be introducing Chapter 20's Syntax Surgery Strategy. This strategy allows students to see the relationship within a sentence in English that may be confusing, especially because the English word order may be different in their native language. So this strategy involves writing sentences on sentence strips and then cutting them into smaller pieces to make them more manageable. The strategy will give a better understanding of the English language. The strategy also has many benefits. One of the benefits is that students get to physically manipulate the sentence and rearrange it to where it makes sense to them, but also in English. It also allows them to visually see the sentence so they can understand what they're doing wrong. This strategy can be done at any grade level. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that it's been done in different grade levels, and then we will get to that in just a moment. First, we're going to go through what the steps actually are when you do syntax surgery with your students. So first, you're going to find a problematic sentence, whether it be in a book or something that you guys are working on. Then they're going to write that onto the sentence strip. Then they're going to cut up into manageable pieces of the words. After they cut up the words, they will rearrange the sentence so it makes sense in English. After it makes sense, you can practice a few more sentences that may have the same structure. If you have time. If you don't have time, it's something that you can go back to. You could also make it an activity that they can work on during their activity time or centers time. So, the first one I'm going to show you is going to be for the upper grade levels. For 5th grade, they were reading a book, and this is the sentence that they chose to not make sense. On the table, a candle is flickering at its last gasp. They looked at it and they were really confused by it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up into sections. So on the table goes together, so I'm keeping that there, those together. On the table is cut. A candle, I'm going to keep that together. The next part. And then I'm going to put is with flickering. Is flickering together. So those are together, sorry. At its, I'm going to break up to at its, and then very last is going to be last gasp. Okay, so for the older students, they don't use the word walls, like the boards where you can put them on the clear sleeves. They can if you want to, but for this strategy, what I decided to do was to put it on paper so we could break it down. So I started to break it down for you already. How it would look is they would glue on the table here, and then they're going to discuss, they're going to discuss, let me put it like that, there we go, what on the table means. So they wrote awkward to be at the beginning. I do think kind of on the table, it does seem kind of weird to start with. Noun phrases could go first. So now if we go to our next thing, a candle, that would be glued down. That possibly is what we think could be the subject. It's a concrete noun. So all we would have to do is capitalize the A to make this the beginning of the sentence. If we move on to is flickering, they would be gluing these down. I'm holding them. The things that they noticed are the phrase is a helping verb with an action verb. And then they're trying to figure out flickering. And to them, they said flicker may mean going out or burning to its end. They're not really sure about that one yet, so that's why we're going to keep breaking it down. So if we break down at its, we have that that's a pronoun, and then that it's referencing the candle. So it's got to be the its is the candle that they're talking about. And then the last thing that we have is last gasp. And the notes that we had for that fell on the floor. Here they are. So they would be glued on right here. So the students can break it down like this, gluing it on, taking their notes on the side, and after they take their notes and they process, that typically helps them rearrange how they think the sentence should look to make sense to them. So the notes they wrote for last gasp are confusing and hard to understand. I guess they don't get what last gasp has anything to do with a candle, because they also talk about how personification is related to the breathing, like gasp, breathing. They're like, there's no one breathing around this candle. So what they decided was it's got to be related to the candle and the fact that the candle must be going out. So if they were to rearrange the sentence and either glue it on another piece of paper, or they could use the clear sentence strip, the sentence that they would come up with would say, that they came up with, they decided to like, was a candle is flickering. So they're totally rearranging it now. On the table at its last gasp. So it originally said, on the table, a candle is flickering at its last gasp. So now they have changed it to where they think it makes more sense by saying, a candle is flickering on the table at its last gasp. Again, they both make sense. So this is something that the upper level can do to rearrange some of their sentences so they make more sense for them. Now, if we were to go and do this for the younger grades, let me take out this sentence. Or for people who are at this level, we had a student who wrote this sentence. She was wearing a sweater green. So if we were to cut this up, we could cut up all the way up to she was wearing a. Because we know that after that, the rest is where it gets confusing for the student. Very simple fix though. In their language, that is how they say it. Sweater green. So we're going to cut that up and just switch them. Green sweater. And you can see, that it now says she was wearing a green sweater. So if we had enough time, the teacher could write up some more sentences very similar, maybe just change the color and the noun at the end, just to kind of help them get some extra practice in, to reiterate that in English, we do say green sweater, not sweater green. We're going to put that adjective in front of the noun at the end there. So that's one way you can do it as you're working through. You can also have an activity where this is the activity corner. So one of the activities is you could have sentences out of order already up there. So one that I have is, let me cut it up. Layla the playground thinks is fun. So those are going to be up here out of order. They're going to cut them up and rearrange them. Another one says, don't mind my cutting. A cake is baking fun. Sounds funny, but it could be corrected. So at the center, you could have these made up every morning, or they could already be cut up and then just put out of place. And then they just put them in place, or they cut them, either way, whichever is better for you. So for the Layla one, we're going to cut up Layla. We're going to cut up the playground. We're going to cut up thinks. And then is fun. Something else that I try to also think would be helpful is to put the period in for some of the lower level kids so they know that that's going to be at the end, and maybe try to capitalize the first letter so that way they know that's going to be the first. They just have to figure out the stuff in the middle, but you don't have to do that. That's just maybe for some of your lower level kids. So Layla, my first word. Now we need a verb. Thinks the playground is fun, because see, the period's at the end. So now you can see that we have, the first sentence done. So this could be an activity that they do maybe when they're done with their work, or just extra practice for that syntax. But there are a few different ways that you can do this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the different ways that I've showed you. Mine is all of my chaos. Thank you.